Hi there, DW Berman here for Liberty3D.com's Lightwave plugin of the week. This week's plugin is another oldie but a goodie. It's Truss2. You can get to it through the Lightwave plugin database.com. You can see the link is down here. And if you actually copy the first part of the link, the www.7.pla blah blah blah. Basically, you can see there's two versions. There's the no expire only for foreign friend version, and then there's a regular version, I guess. But anyway, this plugin takes simple geometry like this and basically creates tubes connecting the different vertices of the object. So it's basically taking the outlines of the polygons and making the truss geometry based on that. So let's take a look at it in Lightwave itself. Let me get rid of that. There we go. Here I am in Modeler, and I'm using the Mac version, 64-bit Mac version. So even though this is an old plugin, it's just an L script, so it actually works in the newer builds, which is great. So here I have a very simple geometry. And let me turn on textured wire so you can see the polygon divisions. And this is just a tower I'm building. So first thing you do, you might try running the plugin, and you go, okay, I want to, yes, build truss, and yes, I want joints. So then you hit OK, and you get an error message. And it's like, oh no, this plugin doesn't work. Well, it does work. You just need to select the polygons first, which is a little odd, since generally in Lightwave Modeler, if it's nothing is selected, then everything is selected. But this is one of those cases where you do need to actually select your geometry. So let's try this again. Truss2. Yes, I want to build a truss, and I want to make the truss radius to be 0.2 of a meter for this thing. Truss sides. This is the how smooth you want it to be. How many sides do you want to make up your discs that build up that connect the different joints together. And surface name, I want to add joints. In this case, I'm going to make the joints a little bigger than the bars connecting them, so I want this to be a 0.3, and I'll just leave all the other defaults, and I click OK. Notice I have my geometry in the layer 2 for some strange reason, and there's nothing in layer 1 and layer 3. So let me hit OK, and presto, says successfully completed, and now I have geometry in the other layers. So let's look at layer 1. The layer 1 is kind of the intermediate step that this plugin makes. This is actually a cage of 2-point polygons, and that's pretty spiffy because we can use that. Even if you don't use the truss that the plugin builds, you can use this for other effects, and I'll show that in a minute. And if you click over here on this other layer, we can see we have let me turn textured wire off. Smooth shade. Here is our final geometry. Now this generally won't come in blue and pink. I just had run this plugin before and left the surface settings the way they were. So these are the surface settings I made when I ran this plugin before. But this way you can see clearly that we have different joints from our polygons. You can see the difference between the joints and the struts connecting them. I should probably learn the terminology of this stuff. Anyway, if you want to change the scale of some of these, like say we want these inner ones here to be lighter, thinner than the outer ones, I can just select them and go over here to modify and point normal move, and that lets me interactively just kind of squeeze them down because I want the inner ones to be smaller. And the same thing up here. Say I want these to be smaller. You could also use the it's a little confusing. You can also use the transform smooth scale, and let me offset that by 0.1, negative 0.1. And there we go. So there are a couple methods you can use to change the scale, all that. Let me undo that. And then let me save this, and I'm going to send it to layout. And I didn't have layout loaded. So here we are in layout. Let me drag the physical truss that the plugin built and the intermediate layer, the 2-point polygon version. And let me switch up my camera to something a little more appropriate for the size of the screen and the layout. So there we go. So I have 2-point polygons on the left, and I have the original geometry in the middle, and the geometry the plugin made on the right. And if I go over here on this object layer, I go to object properties, switch it to edges, and I'll say particle line thickness 3 pixels. So let me render it, and there we have it. We have a solid line, and of course if I take this particle line thickness and do negative, it actually will shade it like it's real geometry if you're using the perspective camera. So we can use either the final geometry that the plugin made, or we can use just the 2-point polygon mode with the negative on the particle line thickness, and use that for our truss. So this is a pretty handy and useful plugin, and go ahead and check it out. And I'll see you the next time we do a Lightwave plugin of the week.